Ciao, ciao, ciao. Zoe Felici here. Felici Friday. You guys, it's April 23rd, coming to the end of the fourth month of 2020. Wonderful. What a great year. This 2021 is going to be, especially compared to last year, as we know, in our niche of creative wedding and event professionals. The event world is coming back. It is the boom of live events and social gatherings. People have been in tight quarters a little bit too long. They're going to be ready to celebrate. We are ready to celebrate now. And as things start opening up, this is the time to really take a look into your business, into your goals, and unleash your full potential to uncover five-figure months in your creative wedding and event business, because the time is now. From family reunions to weddings that have been postponed, families that haven't had a chance to see each other, corporations that have tried to do virtual events for the last year and really want to gain that employee morale and heighten it up. We've all been affected by everything that's gone on in the world. So the time is now to really leap into your best self and make this year the wedding and event boom of 2020 wonderful. 5 figures per month, every month for you guys. It is totally doable and it should be happening. And one of the topics that keeps coming up as I'm talking to my clients and local creative wedding and event professionals here that are in my community in Southern California is just the overwhelm that's been happening, because for California, we've been in lockdown. We haven't had the ability to do events up until about a week ago. And things started opening up, and then here in our county, not only did they open up, but they opened up even more. We're getting flooded with inquiries, and these couples, specifically in the wedding world, couples who have been waiting for, salivating, waiting and watching and excited about things opening up, and literally the floodgates have opened, and a lot of overwhelm has happened because symbiotic at the same time that that's been happening and people are ready and antsy and want to schedule and plan their gathering, we're also getting inundated with information from our jurisdictions, our local county and our state governments, as far as what are the legalities, what can we do, who is liable. I talked the other day about 6 things that you have to be doing right now in your business to get through this hump of making sure that your business is working well, through all of disseminating all this information and what the couples and clients are looking for. So this is in addition to that, because it can be overwhelming. There's so many plates that are up in the air. I remember, when I was a young lassie and I had my very first mentor, I was working for a luxury resort in Austin, just fresh out of college. I was 21 years old, and I worked with Four Seasons Resort. And I love how Four Seasons has set up a mentorship program for their managers, where they have the senior level and executive managers who would be mentors for these assistant managers and so forth. And Craig Reed was my mentor, my very first mentor, and I owe so much to him. I was so young, and it was only 2 years that he was my mentor, but I swear, you guys, everything he told me, we would have monthly meetings with our mentors, and every single thing, like, I don't remember a lot from my 20s, but for some reason, all the guidance and information that he provided me with has stuck true to my heart and my soul. And I have adopted them up until this day. And I love sharing them with you. And he was just such a great storyteller. I think that's really what it came down to. And it was so, adopting to my heart and soul that this one story that he told me about. I was managing a 3-meal dining restaurant at the time. I was the assistant manager there, and more was getting put on my plate, pun intended, for this story, because I just started out, and you learn how to do payroll, you learn what the standards and the sequence of service are, you learn how to train employees, and all of a sudden, 6 months in, 8 months in, you have a lot more on your plate, and how do you manage that? And he talked about specifically, and this is what this overwhelm conversation reminds me of. He's like, it's like you have those carnival or those entertainers, right, that have sticks, two sticks, and they're balancing plates on their sticks, and then all of a sudden someone throws another plate at you and they're able to maneuver and like take a plate off, catch it, and get that plate on and not drop any plate. So, how do you not drop the ball as so much change and so much amp is happening in our industry right now? Because honestly, if you don't take care of overwhelm right now, there's just more coming at us. There's more plates that's going to be thrown towards us, more balls to juggle, if you want that analogy. And this is the time to make sure that systems and processes are buttoned up so that you're not getting overwhelmed with all these other things that happen naturally. So that's why I wanted to talk about overwhelm today. And let's talk about why overwhelm even exists. What are the day-to-day experiences? Why do we get overwhelmed? And I think it's something true to being creatives, right? Most of us are creatives. We put on events somehow, whether you're a floral designer, a planner, a designer, rental company, caterer. There's a lot of creativity that goes through what we do in our business, even if you're the tech guy. Because you have to find new ways to do things, how to maneuver through any challenges. We're just in the creative field. And as creatives, we get a lot of ideas. And not only is it that we're creatives and we get a lot of ideas as creatives, but also we're entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs are born to be entrepreneurs because they're full of ideas. I religiously watch Shark Tank, and I love it because I love to see the creativity that these entrepreneurs that they bring on the show have and provide. So here's two entities. We're creative wedding and event professionals. And then we also are entrepreneurs, oftentimes solopreneurs. So we have double the luggage, if you will, on our backs of getting ourselves in overwhelm. And ideas just come into our brain or from our brain in full force, whether it's first thing when you wake up in the morning, throughout the day, even at night when you're going to sleep. So we are constantly living in this idea box. And if we don't funnel this juice and this creativity in the right way, that's what leads to overwhelm. And especially if we're solopreneurs, how do we diffuse that to really do the right things, take the right steps, prioritize, and stay in a proactive mindset? Because a lot of what I coach about, and if you guys haven't watched my webinar, one of the shifts that I talk about is being proactive. And being proactive means staying in front of the 8 ball, right? Like anticipating what'll happen, being organized, understanding that there's different elements, whether it's a client's decision or, weather or the beast or technology, any of these things that could be on the fritz at any moment. And that's why we get paid the big bucks, because we're anticipating those and we're preventing them from happening. And overwhelm is just another example of being reactionary. So how do we get into a proactive mindset, into a proactive structure for our business? So when we get overwhelmed, it's just natural. It's a natural thing as humans. It's so really, really natural as creatives and even as entrepreneurs. So here we go with this triple threat of easily going into overwhelm, right? And what happens when we get into overwhelm, even last year when not a lot was happening, just emotionally we can get into overwhelm when everything was getting shut down, when our industry fell like a house of cards. You can just overwhelm yourself with emotion, right? Like, crap, what's going to happen? What does my future look like? It's the stories you start telling yourself in your head. And with overwhelm, what happens is that we become frustrated, right? And when we become frustrated, we procrastinate. How many of you guys know that maybe you need to do something and you just keep procrastinating it because you can't be able to pick up just one concept. It's like, oh, I have this idea. It's like the shiny fun things, right? Oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do that. Oh yeah, I should do that. That's part of being an entrepreneur. You want to implement all these things into your business, and also as creativity, as creatives, it's those shiny things like, oh yep, that, oh yep, that. And we really need to hone it down. And then what happens when you start procrastinating, you oftentimes are doing that because you are wasting time thinking about the time that you don't have to do all the things you want to do. Perfect example is, oh, I don't have time to go to the gym. I know it's something that I need to do. I know it's something that will better my health. I know it's something that'll better my mindset. I know that there's so much good stuff if I just committed to go to the gym, but I don't have time for it. And then you're constantly fretting about, oh yeah, I don't have time for that. I really should, but I can't go. Or yeah, I'll do it tomorrow, and it doesn't happen. So what happens, this frustration and this procrastination builds up. And then on top of that, you're just wasting time because you're thinking about how you don't have time to do those things. And your language reflects that. So really changing your language and your mindset is one of the keys to getting out of overwhelm. The other thing that happens with overwhelm is that you're bouncing between all these tasks without the full attention. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do that. I marked it off the list. Maybe I did it half-assed, or maybe I did it half listening, because your mind is somewhere else. You could be at a client meeting and you're sitting there, trying to take notes for that particular client and what you need to do, but your mind is elsewhere thinking about another client or an email you need to respond to. And so you're not fully 100% in it because you're constantly thinking about all these other things you need to do, or how you don't have time to do all these other things. So you're kind of bouncing back and forth between all these little to-dos, but really not putting full attention into it. Or you just don't work at all. That's another side effect of overwhelm. You go and you Netflix and chill. I was talking to a wedding planner the other day who is so overwhelmed with things happening right now. And she's like, yeah, I went to bed at 7:00 and I just started Netflixing because I didn't want to think about all the things. It's just so overwhelming. It hurts my heart. It hurts my brain. And you just want to flip that switch off, but you never really flip it off because it's constantly here in the back of your mind. And the overwhelm doesn't go away when you escape into a movie or into doing, hanging out with friends or going to get a drink or doing things that you really maybe shouldn't be doing. So you don't work at all. And then you hide from the to-do lists, right? Maybe you don't even do a to-do list. That's what she was saying. I was like, what about writing out a to-do list? And she goes, I'm so overwhelmed, I can't even do that. And you start hiding from even creating a to-do list, much less looking at a to-do list and prioritizing. And you start finding distractions like Netflixing, or you go in the kitchen. I often find myself going in the kitchen to start cooking, but I actually find that that's very therapeutic for me to think about my to-do list. Or maybe you start going out with friends and hanging out with friends, hoping that that to-do list disappears or that feeling of overwhelm disappears. But in all actuality, it's like holding a balloon that's tied to the back of you that maybe is hanging and floating over here, but it never really goes away. So the overwhelm stays with you. And when you hide from your to-do list, when you find these distractions, you're not prioritizing what you need to be doing. And when you're not prioritizing, that can cause a loss of revenue, right? Because you're not doing the right things. You're not following up with inquiries like you could be. You're not being proactive in your marketing. Really, that proactivity falls through the cracks, right? And what happens is the worry sets in. You're constantly worrying. You're wasting time thinking. You're like, I should, I could, but instead you start doing something else. And, you guys, this doesn't last a day or 2 days. Overwhelm really is a snowball effect. And when the worry sets in, it goes on, day after day and weeks after weeks and months after months. And eventually you're constantly unhappy because you're not living in your passion. You're not fulfilling what your purpose is. And eventually what happens is this is what leads to burnout, right? And that affects all aspects of your business. Your clients can feel it. Your fellow wedding and event professionals can feel it. You put that energy out into the universe, and your marketing and your promotion that you're doing can feel it. I was just talking to someone earlier in the week who's had over 30 inquiries and not booked one person. And it's the overwhelm. Your inquiries, even if it's just an email where you're not specifically talking to those people, they can feel that overwhelm. That energy just really does exude from you, and you're trying even much harder, and then you don't see straight, and it leads to burnout. So this is why you want to get out of the overwhelm. You want to nip it in the bud. Ideas keep coming in. We are in the creative wedding and event professional field, so you want to really nip this in the bud right now. And you start doing things that, sometimes overwhelm happens because you think you need to do it all and you're not prioritizing. So again, that's a very reactive way of doing things. I was talking to someone yesterday who was sharing with me how she gets overwhelmed because she gets an email from a client. And right now, what's happening is these clients want our attention right now. This is like on steroids right now with the boom that's happening. But I remember in my 20-year career in this that I guarantee you guys, every new year, the first 2 weeks of January, I think I'm going to take a week off in January. And I bet you $100 that most of you have felt this way, and it's happened to you, is that your inquiries, especially if it's couples, even more so, this happens something happened in my thing. I don't know why. I just want to make sure I'm back in with StreamYard in my Facebook Live. Okay. Okay, sorry. So I had to reconnect. I had technology here for a second. But anyway, the first week out of the gate in the new year, the clients are like, oh my gosh, my event is this year. I got to talk to my person, da, 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 da. And so all of a sudden their urgency becomes your overwhelm, right? And this feeling happens because we're people pleasers, because we're solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. And so I was talking to a wedding planner, a fellow student, someone I'm really good friends with and who's taken my course. And she was telling me how she gets an email from someone and she's like, oh, I got to respond right away. And she feels like she has to send out this 5-page email with all these detailed bullet points, and how do you get around it, And she was so cute. It's a husband and wife team. I don't know if you're watching Katie, but shout out to Katie from KB Events, and God bless her husband, because he sets us all straight. And he's like, okay, stop. You don't have to answer right now. Their wedding isn't for 8 months. They only hired you for back-end planning. But we put these expectations on ourselves, and this is how that overwhelm happens, right? So really, the key to resolving overwhelm is taking a step back, or a few steps back, because oftentimes we run our business with passion. We set these expectations for ourselves that put us in this place of overwhelm. And then all of a sudden these blinders come on and we can't see around us, and we're focused on this particular thing. But once you take a step back, once you're able to have, this overwhelm, like just really see it and deflect it and deal with it, what happens, you get the right formula to tackle the must-dos. Because if we're getting in all these ideas left and right, I have to do this, I have to do that, da 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 da, and you start telling the story, if I don't do this, I'm going to lose that client. If I don't do that, my marketing's going to go down the drain. And so once you take a step back, you get the right formula to tackle these must-dos. And included in that formula is also accountability. And I talked earlier in the week in my private Facebook group, if you guys haven't watched it that are in my group, about accountability and why it brings out your higher self. I did that one on last Sunday because for me, I have found what gets me out of overwhelm is really task oriented into chunks of things to do in my life, because this isn't just about running the business. This isn't just about taking care of our clients. For me, what works, and I think as humans, it's for a lot of us, is being physical, right? Getting our, I call it EMF up. EMF, it's our frequency, our, our energy, our mindset, and our frequency, and really working on getting the energy, the mindset, and the frequency up, because that's what brings our higher self. So for instance, for me, since we've been in shutdown, the gyms were closed and I tried to work out and I was doing Zoom stuff, but the accountability wasn't there for me. So I find ways in different people and different groups or whatever the case might be to find me to keep me accountable. So whatever keeps you accountable is the way to go. Some people are really good at holding themselves accountable. I tend to find that most people, they start making up stories. Well, it's okay if I do it tomorrow. What's going to happen if I do it today? But you have to really take into inventory what is important. So for instance, for me, one of the things that is important is right now getting you guys motivated, really helping to nurture the group that's in here for those of you guys that are here to learn and understand and improve and better yourself. And I found an accountability buddy through my coaching group that I get coached on. I have coaches and mentors myself for us to do 111 Facebook Lives in 111 days through August 5th. So that is what motivates me. So what is it for you that's going to hold you accountable? What is the right formula to tackle those must-dos? And then really taking inventory, you guys, that's the third thing you need to do. You have to create a foundation to complete the needed tasks. And oftentimes the needed tasks aren't the fun ones, right? So what is that formula for once you set the foundation? And again, I'll refer back to Craig Reed, my very first mentor, the GM at the Four Seasons Austin property, who showed me before I even knew about any of this, how to make a list and put things into drawer A, B, and C. And I just found it so useful. And that's still how I run my business, how I run my personal life, and really having the foundation to complete the tasks that I need to do. And the organization, this is what's so important, is the organization to do it over and over and over, because overwhelm happens when you're not consistent, right? And it can start creeping in, and it just creeps in one day and you're like, I'm going to ignore it. And then it creeps in the next day. And like I said, next thing you know, it's weeks later and you're just in this muddle of overwhelm and you don't know where to start. So you really want to chunk it down, and you really want to create this foundation of what are those most important tasks, and how, SMART goals. I've talked about SMART goals so many times, because what happens is when you start checking the boxes, how many of you guys love to do checklists? And as soon as you check that box, you're like, yeah, celebrate, high fives to me. I feel so accomplished and good. It brings you to that healthier mindset. And when you combine the accountability and checking off the boxes, you start taking this momentum much, much quicker. And really, this is what mentorship is all about. And this is why I love mentoring my clients and being a coach to clients who, this is why people are able to uncover 5-figure months in their business. The money's there, the system's there. It's just about taking, a 30,000 foot view of what needs to happen and starting to implement those things. And oftentimes with a coach or a mentor, that's when you're going to be able to take that 30,000 foot view back, really prioritize and come up with that foundation to complete those needed tasks and give you the accountability so that you're checking off those boxes, increases your productivity, increases your mindset, I was talking to someone also here locally who was sharing with me, she had called me about, she liked my Facebook Live about getting onto vendor lists. And this was something I talked about last week. And something that stuck out to me is when she said, yeah, I've already bought a program and I really need to go back and finish it. Well, that's the biggest difference right there. That's that self accountability. How many programs have, I know I've been guilty of it, have we bought? How many programs did we feel like, oh, this is the end all? And what I found to be true, it's the accountability that keeps you moving forward. It's the accountability that provides you that momentum. And it's the accountability that's going to give you that healthier mindset so that you can complete what you need to complete and see those changes happening much quicker. Just like going to the gym. Sure, I can sign up to go to the gym and I'm going to say, yep, I'm going 6 days a week, but I don't because I start making excuses. Oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I'm too sore. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, there's so much to do. And next thing you know, I'm going maybe 2 to 3 times a week. And then all of a sudden, I don't see the success in me going to the gym. So I stop doing it. I get too busy. Next thing you know, I have a gym membership 3 months, 4 months later that I barely even use. And then that's what happens. So this is why it's so important to have accountability and to have a mentor and a coach. If you really are serious about your business and uncovering these 5-figure months and, making it a 6-figure a year business that you've dreamt of, those are the 3 things that are going to get you out of that overwhelm and get you proactively going in the right direction, because you'll have the organization to do it over and over. You'll have a healthier mindset. You'll be able to do those creative things. You'll be able to chunk things down. And here's the most important, you guys, it's the mindset, right? And it's the language that we use. So recently, one of my breakthroughs, one of my aha moments with my coaching program that I'm a student of, is we talked about the language that we use. And one thing that I realized is that I had for my wake up call at 6 a.m. every morning, 4 things to do today. And basically it was visualize, meditate, gratitude journal, and visualize, I can't remember what the 4th one is. Let me look it up. I can't remember. Sometimes when I get on here, it's like my brain gets blah. 4 things that visualize and meditate. My brag book, like I love to do my brag book, which is something I don't do because I'm really shy, and I'm not forcing, but wanting to bring out my higher self. So I call it my brag book. Setting my gratitude journal, and setting my daily intention. And I call those 4 things I must do today. Well, I wasn't doing them, right? I knew that they were going to be good for me, things that are great for me, but I just had this aha moment and I thought, what if I change the verbiage? Instead of 4 things I have to do today or 4 things to do today, I change it to 4 ways to win today. And that just got me motivated, you guys, like just by changing that language and just by changing that task in my calendar, it motivates me, because who doesn't want to win, right? So checking in on our language and, I have to redo my website. And instead being like, oh my gosh, once my website is redone, A, B, C, and D is going to happen, and I'm going to attract my perfect clients and da-da-da. So really chunking it down and changing that verbiage is another key to ensuring that you get overwhelmed and you really start making traction in your business. Everything falls hand in hand in your personal life, especially as entrepreneurs. We don't have sometimes there is no separation between business and personal life. So it's so important that we hold ourselves accountable into all facets. I know some of you guys are moms out there and parents out there, and you add that on to what you do, and it just can become overwhelming naturally, just even talking about it. But, that's the formula right there. Tackle your must-dos, be accountable, create a foundation to complete your needed tasks, and, getting the organization to do it over and over and over again. That way you have the healthy mindset, you can do creative things, and you can chunk down things so much easier, and you're not going to be overwhelmed. So if any of this sounds like you guys, and you really want to get out of overwhelm and into this effective productivity in order to uncover 5-figure months, I've set some time aside in the next week to talk to you personally about how you can apply these concepts to your business starting today. No matter what your biggest challenge is, you guys, I've seen it. I've done it all. I've been in the industry I joke around, since birth, because I was born Italian. And I love it, so I've seen a bunch of challenges. I've been down the corporate circuit. I've been an entrepreneur. I have 3 businesses under my belt. And so I get it. And so many people ask me, they're like, God, how do you run 3 businesses? And the key is to stay out of overwhelm. That's really the main key. It was definitely a challenge in the last year, but you know what I did? A year ago, I got into a coaching program. I went back to my coaching program. They have a year-long mentorship, and I was like, I got to do this. And that's what's gotten me into even, times that were poopy for us, right, during COVID. So if you're ready to make this momentum in your business, if you want to uncover these 5-figure months, have the accountability, have the foresight, chunking it down, let's get on a call. Go to zoefelici.biz/apply and let's discuss it. Let's see if we're a good fit for each other. And if we're not, that's totally cool as well. But go to zoefelici.biz/apply, book a time that works for you. You'll receive a short form to fill out right after that booking calendar, and I'll call you at your requested time. I just ask that you show up fully present, coachable, and allow 45 minutes to an hour to really dig deep into your business and figure out why you're overwhelmed, what those ideas are, and how I can help you. And you guys, my calendar fills up rather quickly, so space is limited. Sign up now, zoefelici.biz/apply. And bonus for you guys, if you've taken it this far now, I have a little bonus. And if you want it, if you're ready to get yourselves into gear, I created what I do to stay out of overwhelm, and my formula, and I'm happy to send it over to you. Send me a private message right here on Facebook, and I'll send you a link to it of how do I stay out of overwhelm. What is my organization that I do? It's kind of a daily checklist, and that's the rule of thumb that I follow that's gotten me to be able to not only bring in 5-figure months in my business, but also run my 3 businesses proactively and with passion and joy, and without overwhelm, and seeing the success. So just send me a private message. I'm happy to share that with you. And you guys have a fantastic Friday. I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao for now. Thanks, everyone.